Hello everyone, I'm Zoltan the Gamerman, and today I'll be sharing with you my honest thoughts on Horizon Forbidden West. In this video, I'll be talking to you beautiful people about the game's looks, its sound, just a bit about its story, and most importantly, how it feels to yet again step into Aloy's shoes and go out dinosaur hunting with nothing more than a bow and arrow, some kick-ass attitude, and a whole cauldron's worth of confidence. So let's get right into it. If you've seen anything about Horizon Forbidden West, and I'll go out on a limb here and assume that most people probably have, then you'll know it looks just absolutely incredibly jaw-dropping and gorgeous. I mean, I've had about 7 or 8 whoa moments in just the first 15 minutes of this game. It looks so beautiful. From the very first moment that I started playing and right up to when the final credit rolled, it never ceased to amaze me with its incredible views, superbly animated characters, fantastic looking environments, and just overall drop-dead gorgeous graphics across the board. Honestly, this is the most beautiful game that I have ever played. All that said, however, all this graphical wonder and excellence does not come without flaws. Let me take you back for a second to Horizon Zero Dawn. That also was a pretty freaking gorgeous looking game back in its day, but the most annoying thing about it, graphically, at least for me, was the facial animations of the characters, or, well, lack thereof, while they were talking. Their mouths barely ever followed what they were saying, and whenever the characters were talking to each other, it was so annoying I felt like I was watching an episode of Terrence and Phillip. Now, while Forbidden West undoubtedly improved upon this greatly, bringing the facial animations to a whole new level of realism, especially during the cutscenes, there are still some conversations where the mouth movements are still quite stiff and unrefined. And yeah, this is probably just me nitpicking, but the discrepancy between the facial animations and mouth movements during cutscenes with those during the in-game conversations kind of pulled me out of my state of deep immersion, but luckily not too much. Moving on to the in-game movement and especially combat animations, these were absolutely on point most of the time. I mean, the way Aloy moves and jumps and shoots her bows and slingshots and every other weapon type in her arsenal, and the way she fights with her spear are excellently animated, and the way the machines and human enemies move and fight is also just great. Then, of course, were the instances where Aloy would get stuck in the environment, or the enemies, especially the human ones, glitched out a bit, but I don't think these small flaws affect the overall graphical prowess of the game, which is just
amazing!
So let's take it over now to sound.
I grew up an outcast. Remember, I'm not much for parties.
The voice actors all did absolutely wonderful jobs, and from my perspective, it seems like they poured their hearts and souls into their performances. From the returning main cast to the newly introduced characters, everyone just did an absolutely perfect job, rarely, if ever, missing a beat. So I can only say bravo to every single member of the cast, from the main characters all the way down to the people hanging around in the villages and camps. You made the world of Forbidden West feel alive and lived in. Another factor that contributed greatly to lending great depth and authenticity to the Forbidden West was the environmental sounds. From chirping crickets to the sound of the animals walking around and the winds howling and falling rain, of course, and the mechanical bellows and roars of the nearby machines paired with the great 3D audio technology had me feeling like I was right there with Aloy, smack dab in the center of it all. Combat sounds are also really superb, and whether I was fighting machines or humans, the audio was always on point. Weapon hits feel like they have the appropriate impact depending on the size and hardiness of the machines I was fighting. Human enemies communicate with each other during combat, letting each other know where the player is at any given time, and also issuing threats and even letting out angry or sad yells whenever one of their comrades fell. Music in Forbidden West, some of which is featured in this video, is also amazingly immersive and greatly enhances each and every moment of the game. It makes looking out in the distance from the top of a mountain feel like a tranquil and spiritual experience. It makes battles super tense and exciting, and moments of great revelation throughout the story all the more grandiose. So overall, sounds in Horizon Forbidden West are extremely good and immersive. So now let's talk a bit about the story. Horizon Forbidden West picks up 6 months after the events of Zero Dawn. Aloy continues her search for a way to save the Earth from Hades and destruction, and all of her discoveries suggest that she must head from the east, where the previous game took place, to the Forbidden West, a larger and from all points of view more dangerous area, in order to find the answers she seeks. On her journey, Aloy will be accompanied by some of her old friends like Varl and Erend, but she'll also have the opportunity to meet some new and exciting people and maybe even add them to her team. In typical Horizon fashion, there will also be no shortage of threats and enemies and challenges that Aloy and her friends must rise above and conquer in order to save their beloved home. Along the way, Aloy will also meet several tribes familiar from the previous game, like the Ostrom, the sturdy-built people with the industrial attitude and vocabulary to boot, and the Karja, who worship a certain large celestial body and whose vocabulary revolves so much around said celestial body that after about the third line of dialogue in any conversation with a member of the Karja tribe, all my mind can think was,
"Shut up about the sun! Shut up about the sun!"
But there are also new tribes introduced here, like the peaceful, always singing, soil-loving, and crop-growing Utaru, and the several Tenakth factions whose main goal in life is to kill as many of their enemies as possible and cover their bodies with the tattoos to prove it. Since I don't want to give away any spoilers, this is all I will say about Forbidden West's story. It kicks everything up a few notches, from the premise to the twists and turns it takes to the
holy mother-forking shirtballs
moments. It exceeded my expectations with each and every new revelation once it got going, and it did not let up. And now, let's take it over to la pièce de résistance, the gameplay. If you've played Horizon Zero Dawn, then you'll be familiar with most of what Forbidden West has to offer. Rewarding exploration, exciting machine combat, somewhat less exciting human combat, a whole arsenal of weapons at your disposal that Aloy carries around on her god knows where, looting, crafting, hunting, and a bucket load of side activities, which this time around are much more engaging and immersive than in the first game. I mean, I really was pleasantly surprised to see the level of depth and refinement put into each side quest. Also, thankfully, climbing is made much easier now in Forbidden West. This time around, Aloy can climb a wide variety of surfaces rather than just locations marked with yellow in very specific places. And while at times the climbing controls felt kinda clunky and finicky, with some aspects coming off as not refined enough and some straight up making me go, "What the hell is even that?" I still only see it as a massive improvement over Zero Dawn's climbing, as it should be really. Especially so since Aloy's movement is now aided by several new pieces of gear. Firstly, and I don't think this would come as a surprise to anyone, that Aloy gets the so-called polecaster, which is essentially a grappling hook and I think the most overused mechanic in newer video games. It was really fun though to see how the developers integrated it not only into exploration but also combat, where Aloy could launch herself up and above certain pieces of the environment to then pull out her weapons and shoot her enemies while airborne. Another addition is the shield glider, which Aloy can use to glide down from high places, much like Link does in Breath of the Wild. There's also a device for breathing underwater and creating some really fucking tense and scary moments for me because I hate underwater levels, and also some upgrades for her spear, which are mostly designed to help progress the story and also exploration, but are all implemented in an interesting and fun way. Now let's talk a bit about combat. First off, sneaking and stealth killing human and machine enemies alike feels exactly the same as in Zero Dawn, which wasn't bad, really, but I think there was room for improvement there. Anyway, ranged combat also felt very familiar, with a few new weapon and ammo types added, of course, to help Aloy deal with the different machine types she encounters in the West. Another really cool new feature is the Valor Bar, which Aloy can fill up while fighting and spend to use special abilities that either help her offensive skills or buff her up to be able to withstand more punishment and avoid a grueling death between the sharp teeth and or claws of said machines. I mean, whereas in Zero Dawn, especially at lower levels, I'd look at a Thunderjaw or a Stormbird, tuck tail and run the other way as fast as I could, feeling like,
I got no balls.
In Forbidden West, I knew that even if they'd be able to kick Aloy's ass without her special abilities, I could always rely on them to turn it around and send them to machine hell. Spear combat is also more complex and refined now, with several new combos added, which really made me feel like Aloy had spent the 6 months between the two games getting good at not only molesting machine butt, but also at fighting human enemies up close. And while it wasn't my preferred combat style, fighting with the spear was much more engaging and fun than the very bare bones and basic melee combat of Zero Dawn. Looking at the gameplay as a whole, I can honestly say that Forbidden West, again, elevates everything to a whole new level, and apart from a few glitches and bugs which will most likely be patched out, gameplay is phenomenal, immersive, innovative, and just absolutely
spot on, stunning, amazing, really nice, bloody delicious. I love it.
Being a weekend gamer, I mostly played Horizon Forbidden West on Saturdays and Sundays. Then again, being a huge Horizon fan, and because the world and story of Forbidden West was so interesting and immersive, I couldn't help but sit down and play it whenever I had the chance. This meant being glued to the screen from Friday the 18th when it came out to Sunday, then having a go for a couple of hours most weekdays as well, followed by another hardcore gaming weekend, then finally playing through the final story missions the following Wednesday. Horizon Forbidden West is one of the very few games that have made me forsake my weekend gamerness and made me say, "F*** it." I'll sleep when I'm dead on days when I had to work as well. According to the game, my total playtime is 53 hours. However, since on this channel we measure playtime in weekends, I put this time into my super high-tech hours to weekends converter, and the result is about 3 to 3.5 weekends with my playstyle, which was doing quite a bit of exploring, a fair amount of side quests, gear upgrade jobs, and the additional story mission until the point that the story got so exciting that I just had to finish it before anything else. Now, this time can be extended by a lot, either with a more relaxed playstyle or by completing even more side quests and world activities, and I think I will definitely do so. Guerrilla Games' continuation of Horizon Zero Dawn is, in my opinion, absolutely worthy of being called a superb sequel. It takes what was good from the first game and elevates it to never-before-seen heights while also immensely improving upon everything that wasn't great in Zero Dawn and adding new features and elements that integrate beautifully and organically into the game's world. As I've said in the looks part of this video, it is without a shadow of a doubt the most breathtakingly beautiful video game that I have ever had the pleasure of laying eyes on and playing. It does have a few shortcomings and areas that maybe could have been done better, but I think that these can be overlooked without even a moment's hesitation because this game is a work of art that deserves a standing ovation. So, Horizon Forbidden West is the very first game on this channel that receives a perfect 10 out of 10 score. And I know you might think, hey, an imperfect game does not deserve a perfect score. But to that I say,
yeah, it does.
As the video title suggests, these are my honest thoughts and scores for the games, which I give mostly based upon the experience that I've had while playing them, and honestly, no other game before this has managed to provide me with such an engaging, immersive, and overall absolutely awesome experience as this has. May there be many more like it in the future. Alright, you beautiful people, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to shoot a well-placed arrow into the like button if you've enjoyed this video, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. I'm Zoltan the Gamer Man, and these have been my honest thoughts on Horizon Forbidden West. Take care, be well, and as always, keep on gaming.